Have you ever imagined living in a time when every valley, mountain, and river could become the stage for ambushes and epic battles? In ancient Iberian Peninsula, the Lusitanians led a resistance that made history, courageously standing against the mighty power of Rome with unmatched ingenuity. For decades, these warriors symbolized determination and made even the most advanced armies of their time tremble. Today, we'll dive into a story filled with twists, unexpected betrayals, legendary heroes, and ingenious combat strategies that defied an entire empire. Get ready to uncover the secrets of this fascinating history, where the land itself became an ally, and the name of Viriathus embodied resistance and freedom. But before we embark on this incredible journey, make sure you're subscribed to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos packed with historical curiosities about ancient Rome. Our starting point will be exploring how this formidable people occupied the Iberian map. Let's begin unraveling their essence. The land and its first communities. The Lusitanians lived in a region between the Douro and Tagus rivers, an area with rugged terrain, full of deep valleys and mountain ranges that stood as natural barriers. This landscape not only protected villages from invaders, but also influenced their way of life, such as hunting and subsistence farming. Lusitanian communities were organized into small, fortified villages known as castros, strategically positioned atop mountains. The construction of these settlements reflected a defensive lifestyle. Robust stone walls formed circular enclosures, and in case of attack, the terrain itself became a powerful defensive line. The culture of these early Lusitanians involved rituals and ceremonies tied to the land and natural elements. This spiritual connection reinforced the unity of the people, as they believed protection came from both the gods and the geography itself. Thus, each river was a sacred boundary, each forest a place of refuge, and each mountain a natural sanctuary. Having understood where it all began, it's time to explore the mystery behind their origins and how archaeological research sheds light on this debate. Have you ever wondered how a people's origins can shape their entire history? Leave a like now so we can continue bringing impactful stories like this one. Origins and cultural influences. The mystery of the Lusitanians' origins has always intrigued historians and archaeologists. For Strabo, for instance, they shared traits with the Celts, but various archaeological findings suggest a pre-Celtic Indo-European root. These insights come from studies of ceramics, bronze weapons, and even linguistic analysis of inscriptions on steles. Contact with neighboring cultures, such as the true Celts, contributed to forming a unique cultural mosaic. This included influences in art, religion, and even warfare practices. However, the strong Lusitanian identity maintained unmistakable traits, including loyalty to tribal traditions and remarkable bravery in combat. Ancient authors like Pliny emphasized that although there were similarities with other Iberian tribes, the pride and cohesion of the Lusitanians were singular. This characteristic would make all the difference when the Roman legions, hungry for expanded borders, came into the picture, aiming to impose their political, military, and cultural dominance. Now that we understand the cultural and geographical roots of the Lusitanians, let's follow how the Roman Empire arrived and disrupted the foundations of this region, turning the Iberian Peninsula into a true battlefield. The Roman Empire arrives in the Iberian Peninsula. After defeating Carthage in the Second Punic War, Rome began controlling vast stretches of land, including strategic parts of the southern Iberian Peninsula. This new rule brought road construction, the establishment of trade routes, and the imposition of Roman laws, all to consolidate Rome's power. However, the local populations didn't exactly welcome this occupation. Peoples with millennia-old roots and customs, like the Lusitanians, saw their freedom threatened and feared losing their traditions. As a result, revolts began to emerge across the peninsula, initially in isolated pockets and later through alliances and cooperation among tribes. Though powerful and well-trained, the Roman army faced the harsh reality of the unknown terrain: mountains, valleys, and narrow passes that favored ambushes. The Iberian Peninsula became an immense military challenge, and Rome's history in the region would be marked by costly, prolonged, and often frustrating campaigns for the Roman command. These early conflicts with Rome led to the rise of leaders and strategies that would show the world the determination of the Lusitanians. At this point, we'll delve into the guerrilla tactics that shook the foundations of Rome's structures. Did you know this intriguing detail about Rome's arrival in the region? Write your thoughts in the comments and share your ideas. The art of guerrilla warfare and the Lusitanian resistance. Unlike traditional pitched battles, where armies lined up face-to-face, the Lusitanians adopted much more flexible and unexpected methods of combat. Guerrilla tactics involved small groups who knew every path, every elevation, and every gorge, appearing and disappearing like a whisper in the wind. Strategic locations, such as caves or hills, served as perfect lookout points to watch enemy troops. At the slightest sign of vulnerability, the Lusitanians struck swiftly and lethally, retreating immediately afterward, denying the opponent the chance for prolonged combat. These tactics left the Romans exhausted and often disoriented. Gradually, the fame of Lusitanian resilience spread across the peninsula. Other populations began to see in the Lusitanians an example of resistance. Although each people fought for their own interests, the persistence of not bowing to Rome inspired a spirit of freedom that would be fundamental in future confrontations. But not all battles are fought in the open field. Sometimes diplomacy and promises can become dangerous traps. And in this scenario, figures like Servius Sulpicius Galba emerge. Galba and the Broken Promise. Servius Sulpicius Galba, a Roman governor with personal interests in the region, attempted a different approach. Instead of sheer military force, he proposed peace to the Lusitanians by offering fertile lands and better living conditions. Tired of losses and suffering, many Lusitanian warriors saw this promise as a lifeline. Trusting the agreement, the Lusitanians handed over their weapons and gathered in supposedly safe locations, only to discover too late that they had fallen into a cruel trap. Surrounded by Roman troops, men were massacred, women and children enslaved, and Galba returned to Rome, taking considerable spoils with him. This terrible event left deep scars on Lusitanian memory and fueled intense hatred against Rome. Among the few survivors stood a young man who would soon become a symbol of resistance: Viriathus. Galba's betrayal turned this survivor into a relentless warrior. Speaking of Viriathus, it's time to learn about the man who went from being a mountain hunter to an exemplary strategist and the supreme commander of an entire people. Have you ever wondered how this event shaped the fate of an empire? Leave your like now so we can keep bringing impactful stories like this one. The rise of Viriathus, the undisputed leader. Viriathus survived Galba's massacre and vowed that his people would never be deceived again. Gradually, he gained prominence among Lusitanian warriors, whether for his courage in battle or his leadership ability. In a short time, he assumed command of expeditions and ambushes that began causing significant damage to the Romans. His strategies relied on deep knowledge of the terrain. Ambushes, nighttime movements, and the use of small attack groups were Viriathus's signature, who preferred surgical precision in confrontations over risking large-scale open battles. This efficiency turned him into a true nightmare for Roman generals. Even the most well-prepared legions, sent directly from Rome, faced an enemy that appeared and vanished amid the mountains, making an easy victory impossible. Viriathus's fame spread beyond borders, and Rome reluctantly had to recognize they were facing an opponent worthy of respect. But Viriathus's peak would not come without challenges. As his combat successes continued, his deeds echoed across the peninsula, forcing Rome to take drastic measures and send their most skilled generals. The great Roman campaigns against Viriathus, determined to put an end to the Lusitanian rebellion, Rome sent its most renowned generals to confront Viriathus. Figures such as Fabius Maximus Aemilianus, Quintus Pompeius, and Fabius Maximus Servilianus were tasked with subduing him. Each new commander brought different strategies, but they all faced the same reality. Viriathus did not fight like other peoples, and the local geography was his greatest ally. One of the most remarkable episodes was when Viriathus managed to surround and later negotiate a truce with Fabius Maximus Servilianus. This agreement declared the Lusitanians as friends of the Roman people, a moral victory that highlighted the political and military strength of the Lusitanian leader. However, this treaty was seen as a humiliation by many Roman senators. The peace was short-lived. Dissatisfied with the idea of a barbarian army imposing conditions, the Romans resumed hostilities, now under Quintus Servilius Caepio. Viriathus understood that directly confronting Rome in open battle would be risky. Nevertheless, he persisted, confident in his warriors' support and the possibility of maintaining Lusitanian independence. At this point, the stakes were high. Unable to defeat Viriathus on the battlefield, the Romans turned to other means to bring him down. Have you heard about this pivotal moment in history? Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know. The betrayal that changed everything. Facing immense difficulty in defeating Viriathus in combat, Quintus Servilius Caepio resorted to one of the most deceitful and effective strategies, bribing those closest to the Lusitanian leader. 3 of Viriathus's trusted companions were corrupted to accomplish what Roman swords had failed to do. Viriathus was assassinated in his sleep at his camp. The shock was devastating for the Lusitanians. The man who had been their greatest inspiration and moral strength fell not by the hands of an enemy in battle, but through the treachery of his own allies. When the traitors sought their reward from Caepio, the Roman general dismissed them with disdain, stating, "Rome does not pay traitors." This ironic conclusion symbolized Rome's cold pragmatism in matters of betrayal. Despite the disgrace, their objective had been achieved. The Lusitanian resistance was left without its supreme leader. After Viriathus's death, the flame of resistance dimmed significantly. However, there were still warriors determined to fight to the end, even without the same strategic leadership. The end of organized resistance. With the fall of Viriathus, Tautalos took command of the Lusitanian forces. However, the lack of strategic vision and charisma of the former leader weighed heavily on the resistance. There were attempts at sieges and a few incursions against Roman garrisons, but none comparable to Viriathus's spectacular victories. Defeated, Tautalos was forced to accept a peace agreement. Rome offered lands to resettle the remaining warriors and their families, aiming to permanently end the Lusitanian rebellions in the region. This process was yet another Roman maneuver to assimilate the Lusitanians into their political control. From that moment on, organized resistance lost its momentum. Many warriors, exhausted, accepted the proposal to live in relative peace. Others, more skeptical, retreated to isolated regions but lacked the strength to resume large-scale confrontations. If you're enjoying this journey through history, don't forget to leave a like and share this video with your history-loving friends. As the years passed and Roman power consolidated, a new chapter unfolded in the history of the Iberian Peninsula. It's time to explore the final integration of the Lusitanians into the Roman world. The integration and legacy of the Lusitanians. Rome's systematic campaigns in the Iberian Peninsula continued. Julius Caesar, for instance, led decisive actions against rebellious tribes in the west and northwest of the peninsula, facilitating the final submission of the still resistant regions. From Augustus's reign onward, the Pax Romana ensured relative stability, enabling administrative reorganization. The former Lusitania was officially integrated as a Roman province alongside other divisions such as Baetica and Tarraconensis. The Lusitanians, now part of the empire, began to adopt intense Roman influences, including the Latin language, Roman laws, and their way of life. Yet, traces of their original culture and identity endured over time, blending into a new Hispano-Roman reality. Although subdued, the Lusitanians left behind a legacy of courage and love for their land that would not be easily forgotten. The memory of Viriathus, in particular, persisted as a symbol of independence and justice, inspiring stories and legends for centuries. The region flourished under Roman administration while simultaneously preserving the essence of a people who once defied the greatest empire of antiquity. And so concludes the journey of the Lusitanians, from a free and determined people through epic victories, betrayals, and unforgettable leaders, to their inevitable integration into the Roman Empire. Every mountain, every river, and every stone in their lands holds the echo of a history of persistence, honor, and the fight for freedom. If you enjoyed this journey through time and want more fascinating stories about ancient Rome, subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video as we explore together the great stories that shaped our world.